הצלחת להתגנב, אור שלא עוזב, הוא מתגלה בחושך, בכל קצוות תבל, מי שהוא מסתכל, אומר תודה לאל, על אהבת אמת, איך שאת רוקדת, גם הלב שלי רוקד איתנו. מים רבים לא יכבו את האש שלנו, לא. ואת יחפה, אדמה רועדת, איך אחרי כל השנים הרגשתי שייך, בת מהמדבר כמו סופה נודדת, כשחיפשתי את עצמי מצאתי אותה. רוצה להתמכר לטוב שמתגבר, אם הלב אומר בטח שהוא יודע, תכף נתעורר לניגון אחר, לא צריך יותר, יש עוד מסע שלם, איך שאת רוקדת גם הכוכבים רוקדים איתנו. מים רבים לא יכבו את האש שלנו,
to Matan'S Virtually Anything is Possible event celebrating 20 years of impact. I am Pamela Schuller, comedian, speaker, disability advocate, and most importantly, your host for this incredible evening. Please note, closed captioning is available via the closed caption button on your Zoom. Also, the chat is open, so feel free to drop your mazel tovs if you're sheppin' nachis, if you're having any challenges with Zoom, drop those all in the chat. The Matan team is on hand to help you troubleshoot. The last year has been, well, you know, and yet Matan has still been able to support leaders and educators and families and kids. They have made so much possible during this uncertain time. I was honored by Matan several years ago. It's an organization near and dear to my heart. Did I hang out with Ed Asner? Yes. Did I get to pretend that me and Matthew Broderick were like old-time best friends? Also, yes. But more than that, I got to help amplify the incredible work that Matan is doing. Plus, I got to spend some time with my favorite humans on the planet, the people who run Matan. I grew up with a severe case of Tourette syndrome, anxiety, and obsessive compulsive disorder. And when I was a kid, I felt like my diagnoses made me a nuisance, that by experiencing the world differently, I was somehow less than. The messaging around me always felt like I took away from my community, or that when people did include me, they were only doing it to do a mitzvah, and not because I had value. I was kicked out of my congregation for having a kid as Tourette's, and my school, and like baseball stadiums and movie theaters and really everything you can get kicked out of. And I ended up at an incredible boarding school, a school much like Matan that celebrates the heck out of differences. I was a tough teen, and so I spent a lot of time in detention at this boarding school. And one day I was in detention where I lived, And I happened to be the only one there. And the teacher decided to try something new. He took a sheet of paper and he wrote things Pam loves about herself. And he underlined it and he slid it in front of me and he said, Pam, make a list. And like it was yesterday, I remember wanting so badly to have something to put on that list. And I remember seeing his face turn to fear as he realized I wasn't just being a snarky teenager. I truly had nothing about myself that I loved or that I felt added any value to the world. And so my boarding school decided that they needed to help me find my thing, right? One thing about myself that I loved and that I definitively knew added value to the world. And it was through that journey that I found stand-up comedy and improv. But more than that, I found this idea of yes and, a tool in comedy and improv, but it's more than that. It's about accept what's happening as truth and building off of it. The yes is an acknowledgement of what is, and the and is how we shape the next steps. And in that first day, by the way, in stand-up and improv, when I was flailing and barking and making noises, people yes-anded me. We worked whoever I was into that scene that we were creating on the spot. I wish Matan had been a national organization when I was growing up. I wish that there had been an organization for the Jewish community to get stuff right, because Matan is doing the type of work to equip every educator to make sure that their students know that they belong, that they have value, and that learning differently isn't bad. It's kind of beautiful. So glad that we are celebrating 20 years of Matan, well, yes, anding. Here's to the next 20 of Matan leading the way. Are you all ready for an amazing evening? Yeah? Okay, good. We have some speeches from our incredible honorees, some videos, and of course, some special guests. I'm so excited to pass the mic to the president of Matan's board of directors, Suzanne Eisenberg.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you, Pam, for kicking off Matan Turns 20. Virtually anything is possible. Your energy and spirit are definitely the real deal. Nothing virtual about you, my dear. Thank you for being our MC. And welcome to all. I am Suzanne Eisenberg, Matan's board president, and I'm thrilled to help launch this evening's program in my own virtual Matan Zoom room home office. So first, thank you to our event committee, Matan's board, staff, and this evening's sponsors, the Plevin family and the Jesse and Joan Kupferberg Foundation. We are so grateful for their years of support and dedication to Matan's mission of creating and sustaining inclusive settings in all aspects of Jewish life. A short personal note, I first learned of Matan and its work 15 years ago when my younger son needed additional educational support in our synagogue's congregational school. The care, warmth, and attention he received from the Matan trained teachers enabled him to flourish. And so my connection to Matan grew and grew. And here I am, honored to be part of this organization, which truly has led the way in the field of inclusion. To those who have written messages in tribute to our truly remarkable honorees, Andrew Solomon and Rachel Kest, thank you for recognizing these amazing leaders. You will hear more about their extraordinary work in the next hour. And as we celebrate the milestone of 20 years, this evening we also salute our amazing executive director, Dori Kirshner, who has led Matan for more than a decade. She is a tireless advocate for inclusion, and our appreciation for all she does is boundless. Mazel tov to all our honorees. In celebration of Matan's 20 years of impact in the Jewish community, we have 2 short videos to share. You will see what we've accomplished and what we hope to do more of in the future. So my sincere thanks to all of you for watching, supporting, and cheering on Matan. Now, here is our first film.
Matan began really for me as the result of one child. I call him Josh. I was working at the overnight Jewish summer camp that I had attended my whole childhood. He had attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Unfortunately, after just 6 days of camp, Josh was sent home. I thought, is this really something that happens in the Jewish community, or did I just happen to stumble upon this one kid who wasn't being included in Jewish life? And what I discovered at the time was that this was really happening at an alarming rate. And to me, it really felt like a crisis within the Jewish community that needed to be addressed.
My daughter has autism. She was diagnosed when she was about 2.5. We actually did try a synagogue and found it was a very uncomfortable experience.
Anybody who learned differently, whether because of learning disabilities, attention problems, mental health issues, developmental disabilities, were causing them to really be excluded from the fabric of Jewish life. Back in the year 2000, several different funders and Jewish professionals came together thinking about this idea of Jewish social entrepreneurs, right? Young people who were emerging with new Jewish ideas. This program provided office space, different supports around what it took to start a nonprofit organization.
It's very rare that a family that has a child with a disability is actually offered something. Somebody called me and reached out and told me about Matan. And so when she got to Matan, all these girls, there were so many girls. It was like the first time, and they were her peers. They treated her as friends. And I think that was a very important experience for my daughter. And I think that these other girls felt the same way. They all said we never had friends.
So for the first time, they felt included in a Jewish community. They felt that they could walk into a Hebrew school class or they could walk into a JCC program, and it was really for them. They felt welcomed and they felt included, and they felt like their child could finally develop friendships in a Jewish context, and that their family could be part of Jewish life in a way that they really weren't able to before.
Matan gave my daughter friends. Matan gave my daughter a sense of belonging. Matan empowered our family to pursue a bat mitzvah for my daughter.
Matan empowers families to have high expectations of the Jewish community and to recognize that their children, regardless of ability, have as much right to be successfully included in the Jewish community as anybody else. Wow, it is amazing to see Matan's early days reflected in that video. It is hard to believe that we are here tonight celebrating 20 years of Matan's work. As one of the founders of this organization, I never could have predicted this evening. Well, for lots of reasons. Those of you who have heard stories about the origins of Matan know that it all began around a kitchen table. 4 young women sitting in a small Upper West Side apartment, envisioning a Jewish community that could be inclusive of all learners, regardless of ability or disability. So much has changed over the past 20 years, and yet somehow, here I am celebrating this milestone in my kitchen. I am humbled by your support tonight and throughout our 20-year journey, whether you have been with us from the very beginning or have joined the Matan family more recently. You are each an indispensable part of our work as we continue to shape a fully inclusive Jewish community. In Pirkei Avot, The Ethics of Our Fathers, Chapter 1, Mishnah 6, Rabbi Yehoshua ben Parachia says, "Make for yourself a teacher and acquire for yourself a friend, and judge each person favorably." This passage has been stuck in my head ever since our event committee chose Rachel Kest as this year's recipient of the Matan Leadership Award. As you may know, Matan works with communities across North America, conducting comprehensive assessments in order to help elevate inclusion across a wide range of geographic areas. Tonight, I'm going to let you all in on a little secret. These consultations, which are now a significant portion of Matan's daily operations, are because of Rachel Kest. As the Director of Education for the Jewish Federation of Greater Rochester, and backed by a team of professionals and lay leaders who shared her vision for inclusion, Rachel reached out to Matan back in 2014 to ask if we could help support their efforts. While I don't remember the conversation verbatim, it went something like this. We could use some help identifying our community's priorities around Jewish inclusion. Is this something you could do? Well, actually, it probably matters if she asked if this was something we could do or something we did do. I'm not sure which way it went, but I do know what we said. Yes. And thus, Matan's community consultation model was born. Rachel was our first example of what this type of engagement could be, and she set the bar extremely high for what effective, sustained partnership looks like. Rachel not only spearheaded the audit, but she figured out over the course of several years how to implement so many of the recommendations we made, building a community of cohesion and better communication, training all directors of congregational schools and early childhood programs, helping Rochester organizations hire inclusion coordinators, and even providing Matan mentorship to local educational programs that were seeking to further elevate their inclusion efforts. Rachel is a true leader who has had a tremendous impact, not just on her own community of Rochester, but throughout countless communities across North America. To this day, when a community calls to inquire about a possible consultation, we suggest they talk to Rachel first. She serves not only as a reference for Matan, but as a model of what federations can accomplish through intentional visioning and always ensuring that inclusion is considered from the beginning, not merely as an afterthought. Rachel knows that inclusion is not a luxury. It's the necessary building block that makes communities whole. In so many important ways over the past 6.5 years, Rachel has been my teacher. And while Matan has conducted many community consultations since that first trip to Rochester, I can honestly say that Rochester is one of the only places where the work resulted not only in a new colleague and teacher, but a dear friend as well. For all of these reasons and so many more, it is my honor to present the Matan Leadership Award to my teacher, my friend, Rachel Kest. Although we are all in different places tonight, Rachel, you will receive a tangible token of our appreciation. We hope it will remind you always that you are a treasured gift to Matan and to the entire Jewish community.
Thank you, Meredith, for your kind words. And thank you, Dori, the team at Matan, and the Matan board for choosing me to receive this prestigious honor. I am truly moved and beyond appreciative of this recognition, which would not have been possible without the wisdom and guidance I've received from both the team at Matan and also the leadership and constant support of the Jewish Federation of Greater Rochester, particularly Larry Fine and Meredith Dragon. I believe in community, and I believe deeply in faith-based community, so much so that I've dedicated my professional life to ensuring that whoever wishes to can participate in Jewish community in meaningful ways that meet their needs. Participating in community where one is truly accepted and welcome adds joy and purpose to one's life. And isn't that what life's all about? And yet, sadly, finding these places and spaces is often so challenging. When I was a kid struggling to fit in my own way, my wise mother of blessed memory had a few mantras that she shared over and over again. And in true 1980s style, she found bumper stickers with these sayings, and they hung on the bulletin board in my bedroom. The first one: be yourself, everyone else is taken. And lo and behold, this is an Oscar Wilde quote. And number 2, why be normal? Well, I really wanted to throw these bumper stickers in the trash can. They now serve as my North Star and provide me with endless guidance. Imagine for a moment if we were all just able to be ourselves and were truly accepted for who we are. Imagine a community where your uniqueness is your superpower rather than your kryptonite. Imagine if one's beautiful distinctness was perceived by others as an essential commodity that was urgently needed to strengthen the fabric of the community rather than weaken it. When this happens, the possibilities are truly endless, and our communities become magical places of meaning and growth. Ezehu Hacham, who is wise? Ben Zoma asked. Halomed Mikol Adam, the one who learns from all people. When everyone is recognized for what they bring to our community, not only do they grow and benefit, but we do as well. On every stop along my professional journey, whether working with college students, directing a religious school, or guiding a community of families and households, creating inclusive environments has been my purpose. And while this has been my enduring goal, the path to achieving it has varied in each setting. And so when I arrived in Rochester in 2013, I embarked on a process of finding the right ingredients to develop a recipe that would work for Rochester. Through lots of interviews, experiments, testing, and tasting, I eventually found Matan. It was a shidduch min hashamayim, a match made in heaven on the first date. And let me tell you why. You see, the Matan cookbook is flexitarian. It has lots of options. Before Dori and Meredith recommend a menu or suggest particular recipes, they spend time getting to know a community. And like any community, Rochester is distinct. It has its own personality. Through a process of meeting stakeholders and deep listening, Dori and Meredith grew to understand the Rochester community, and only then did they recommend a menu of options for us to consider. They guided us on our journey, responding to our needs, pivoting when necessary. They allowed us to be our authentic selves and worked within our bounds rather than providing a formulaic solution to our unique circumstances. This is Matan. This is the organization's superpower. Since starting this journey in 2013, the Rochester Jewish community has made tremendous progress, and advances have been truly a team effort. The mindset shifts and subsequent programmatic changes could not have happened without the determination and dedication of colleagues, lay leaders, institutions, and families all buying into it. Thank you all for your bravery and courage. Most importantly, I want to thank my family. My dad, Perry Kest, for positively demonstrating the beauty in being unique. My children, Ellie and Nadav, who remind me every day of the importance of inclusion and reinforce that this work really matters. And above all, my husband, Rabbi Michael Silbert, an incredible partner who puts up with me, keeps me grounded, and provides me with endless guidance and wisdom. Making meaningful change is a slow process, one that requires lots and lots of patience and belief in the outcome. Every little adjustment matters. Every small step leads to a bigger step, and they all add up. My wise mother had another saying, which found its way, of course, onto another bumper sticker, which was pasted somewhere into on our house. And she was right about this one too. As a kid, when I was faced with what seemed like an insurmountable task, she would ask, "How do you eat an elephant?" And the answer, "One bite at a time." While the task ahead is certainly great, I am confident that if we all continue to take those small bites, together we will accomplish great things. Thank you.
Mazel tov, Rachel. It is so clear that you are deserving of this honor. I love getting to hear you speak about the incredible work that you do. We saw a video about Matan's early years, and now we have another short video for you that focuses on Matan's impact this past decade. Matan is the leader in training leadership and educators in how to best support inclusion in any and every Jewish setting. I love that they've had me teach and present at so many of their workshops and trainings because I'm always so blown away by the people in the space, the people who show up because they care and they understand the value of truly creating an inclusive community. Matan equips them with the tools and resources to do just that. I am so proud to be associated with such high quality and transformative training. You're going to want to see this video.
I think Matan had a really significant impact on a relatively small number of people.
And we were really creating opportunities amongst families that had really felt not welcome in Jewish life.
For the first time, they felt included in a Jewish community, but I think we weren't having enough of an impact.
About 10 years in, we pivoted to become a training operation.
We figured if we could provide really stellar, deep training opportunities to Jewish professionals across North America who didn't have a background in special education or special needs or disabilities, that we could really create ripple effects.
Matan is a gift, literally, to all of us Jewish educators and all of my professional colleagues out there. A resource, an organization, an embodiment of how to include all of our learners, all of our students, all of the children, all of the adults into our Torah learning.
We were essentially going to create ambassadors for Jewish disability inclusion and train people so that they could really implement this work wherever they were.
Matan provided me with a whole tool chest, and I in turn could bring that to my teachers, to my team at Congregation Abonim.
Matan is an organization that helps, in our case, has helped us on our own journey towards being a more inclusive community. In religious terms, I would tell you that it's an organization that helps us see the image of God in all human beings.
And now, in addition to training, we do these inclusion audits where we get really deep. We hear from every single possible person to get the greatest perspective on what it's like to live in X community and need supports and scaffolding for your family.
We felt that we were inclusive. We felt that we were offering a Matan class. Kids could have a bar bat mitzvah in the afternoon on Shabbat, and we sort of felt really good about it. And in the course of a conversation with some parents, we felt that there was a big gap between who we thought we were and who we needed to be.
Now there are really thousands of people all across the country who understand the importance of this work. They don't just welcome people in to be welcoming and sort of like whatever happens, happens. They actually know what to do and know how to approach inclusion so that everybody can be successful.
Matan empowers Congregation Habonim to be welcoming and inclusive of all families.
The culture change comes when being an inclusive, welcoming community is just part of who we are.
Matan empowers communities to actually bridge the gap between reality and the ideal.
Good evening. I'm so honored to be here tonight with all of you, celebrating a person and an organization that is near and dear to my heart. In September of 1994, I met a girl, and she took my breath away. She was barely 5 feet tall, all smile, Southern charm, and a sweetness that matched her beauty. And all of that captured my heart. We were the dearest of friends for 4.5 years before we shared our first kiss. Minutes after that moment, we literally began to plan our wedding, and we never looked back. For the past 21 years, I have been blessed to be married to my best friend. My children have had the most loving, constantly laughing, and supportive mother any person could ever dream of. And for the past 14 of those 21 years, I have been proud to watch my wife, Dori Frumin Kirshner, nourish, love, and grow Matan into the thriving, well thought of, and sacred organization that it is today. I am continuously amazed by Dori's ability to laser in on each person's individual needs who is a client of Matan. I am amazed at her uncanny ability to marry the resources of Matan with her spirit and her thoughtfulness, which has enabled literally thousands of people to be included and tethered to our Jewish tradition, and most importantly, to our shared Jewish future. In my life, I have been blessed to hold many titles and serve in many roles. But of all of them, there is only one title that matters to me the most and brings me more pride and satisfaction than I could ever imagine. And that is the title of being called Dori's husband. I love you, Dori. I love the model that you set for our children and the values that live in your heart and in the fingertips of the sacred work you fulfill each and every day. You're an amazing partner and still my very, very best friend. Matan is so blessed to have had your love, dedication, and support for the past 14 years, which has brought every member of our Jewish world to new heights. May you keep climbing and bring all of us higher along with you. On behalf of all of the beneficiaries of Matan, from our 2 adoring children, and from this incredibly proud husband, Mazel Tov. U'ma'aseh yadeinu konenehu, u'ma'aseh yadeinu konenehu. May God bless the work that you do. May God bless your hands to keep inspiring our Jewish people. And may you continue to do the sacred work for years to come in health and happiness. I love you.
Wow. David, thank you for those gorgeous words. I love you. Thank you to everyone for being with us tonight to celebrate, especially those of you who have been with us from the beginning. It is an amazing opportunity to take stock of all that Matan has accomplished these past 20 years. I'm so honored to be part of this organization. As some of you may know, and you heard from my husband, I'm a proud 3rd-generation Southern Jew, which means that my grandparents spoke Yiddish with a Southern accent. It also means that I was keenly aware of being other and feeling different often. It's that feeling that made the occasions when I was with my Jewish community even sweeter. I knew that the Jewish community was a place where I was home, where I felt included, supported, and nurtured. I couldn't and didn't ever take being a part of the Jewish community for granted. I have always been a fan of Matan. 20 years ago, when this organization was created, I happened to be working at UJA Federation of New York and had the pleasure of serving as the grant liaison to Matan. I distinctly remember calling up Meredith, congratulating her and the other founders, and remarking, "This is so needed in the Jewish community, and you have so much work to do." Who could have known that 7 years later, I would join the Matan team? After serving as the number 2 for a couple of years, I had the opportunity to become the executive director of this unique nonprofit organization. There have been so many points of pride over the past 10 plus years, launching the Matan Institutes, securing our foothold as a national organization, being the place to turn to when entire communities are in search of how to elevate inclusion in all settings across the lifespan. There are 2 things that I cherish most about this ride so far. 1, I get to work every day on a mission that is so in sync with my values. A couple of years ago, my daughter said to me, "Mommy, you never complain about going to work like most adults do. You always say, 'I'm going to work.' I hope when I grow up that I will love my work as much as you do." And the second thing that has really, really resonated with me is how we have really witnessed real change when it comes to awareness, training, and real inclusion. I've seen thousands of people with good intentions seek out support from Matan in order to turn those good intentions into action, to acquire practical tools, language, knowledge, and systems in order to make the Jewish community a home for all of our members. As you've heard, Matan means gift. And I really mean it when I say that these past 11 years have been a gift. Not always rainbows and sunshine, but a gift nonetheless. I can't wait to continue on this journey as Matan continues to change the landscape of Jewish inclusion. I want to say Mazel Tov, of course, to both Rachel Kest and Andrew Solomon, both of whom will be receiving gifts, awards from us after tonight to remind them of this special evening. Thank you, both of you, for the incredible examples that you are and that you set. And I look forward to continuing our connections to one another. Thank you so much to the Matan board, the event committee, and especially the Matan staff, Meredith, Daniela, Michelle, and Stacy, without whom none of this would be possible. I also want to point out that I couldn't be prouder of the cadre of consultants and mentors, real experts on Jewish inclusion, who enable us to do such systemic changing work. Thank you to all the educators and leaders who share our passion for rolling up the proverbial tent flaps so that we can welcome everyone in. Thank you, David, Evie, and Elias, for your unwavering support and love. In the words of Anne Frank, how wonderful it is that nobody needs to wait a single moment before starting to improve the world. Let's go.
Dori, there are not enough words to describe how much I look up to you and think you are just the most incredible. I know that I am so lucky to have you in my life, and I know I'm not alone in those feelings. So many lives have been changed because of the work you do. You are a friend, a cheerleader, sometimes a comedian, and an innovator in the world of inclusion. It is my honor now to introduce Emily Pearl Kinsley, a tireless advocate for disability inclusion. Emily is a past Matan honoree and an Emmy-winning writer who worked tirelessly ensuring that disabilities were represented and celebrated on Sesame Street. She also wrote the incredible poem, Welcome to Holland. She and her son, Jason, are key figures in Andrew Solomon's documentary, Far from the Tree. If you haven't given yet tonight, are you paying attention? Anyway, Emily will introduce our final honoree of the evening, Andrew Solomon, who is receiving the Impact Award. I am so excited to introduce Emily Pearl Kinsley. The floor is yours.
Oh, hello, everybody. I'm so delighted to be here and with Matan once again. The evening we spent together when you honored me was just so memorable and so special. So I consider myself one of the family, and I have a very special job tonight because the honoree whom you've chosen for tonight is so special to me, to my family, and to the whole world. I was thinking today about the concept of honor and the concept of the work that Matan does in terms of inclusion of all sorts of disabilities. And it's just such a natural, it just all comes together right around my dear, dear friend, Andrew Solomon. Andrew, if you don't know, Andrew has written this extraordinary book, Far From the Tree. And if you haven't gotten it, you need to, because this is a life-changing experience. I started reading the book because I was interested in Down syndrome, because that's what my son has, so on. And I could not put it down because it's so comprehensive and so honest and so caring that it was just an extraordinary experience. You tell people that you're in the middle of a 1,400-page book and they think you're a little bit crazy, but run, do not walk, run, get this book and you'll see. And then of course, on top of that, I got to know Andrew when we got involved in making the documentary, which has been a very, very important experience to Jason and also to me. And you will see how this combination of caring and intelligence and commitment and all of the things that Matan stands for are just embodied in this darling, caring, charming, wonderful man who I'm sure that you will enjoy meeting very much. It is an honor for me to introduce Andrew to you because he's just one of the most honorable people in the world, and he's someone I love and honor deeply. So here he is. Here's Andrew Solomon for you.
I think I had grown up with a sense that there was a right way to be.
We hereby make our assault on conventional morality.
Writing the book set me free. It broke me finally out of that particular narrowness that had been inscribed in my childhood. And it gave me the courage to have a family in a different way from the way I'd imagined growing up.
You have a sword and you have a fishing rod. That seems very appropriate.
And I've got a fishing rod with bait on it.
Oh, what's the bait? Oh, that little bit of seaweed. Do you think there are fish in this water?
Well, I don't know.
George, let's go and put on your pajamas, please. Pajamas, please. George, pajamas.
I tend to find the ecstasy hidden in ordinary joys because I did not expect those joys to be ordinary to me.
Book 5, right?
Right.
The first chapter is called How Shasta Set Out on His Travels. Chapter 15 is called Radabash the Ridiculous.
Okay, should we start reading the book? Would you like me to read it to you?
Yes. Who is Shasta anyway?
Oh, we'll find out.
I guess we're going to find out.
This is the story of an adventure that happened in Narnia and Calormen and the lands between.
John and I have a big, spectacular family.
You're best not to, probably.
John is the biological father of 2 children with some lesbian friends in Minneapolis.
You can't give him one on me.
Yeah, I don't know if you can.
My best friend from college and I decided we'd like to have a child, and so we have a daughter.
Looking so pretty.
No need to finish that phrase.
And then John and I have a son, George, who lives with us full time.
Are you and George?
And when we had George, our surrogate was Laura, the mother of John's 2 biological children. So there are 6 parents of 4 children in 3 states. You know, Tolstoy said, all happy families are the same. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. And I used to think that might be true. But actually, I think a lot of unhappiness is quite similar, and that what's remarkable is all of the different ways people find to be happy. I am so deeply moved by Emily's kind and generous words, and want to say that I reciprocate every warm thing that she said about me. And I'm thrilled to be honored this evening along with Dori and Rachel, who are both extraordinary people, and especially to be in Dori's company because she's the one who made me aware of Matan and aware of the incredibly important work that this organization does with its redemptive quality for enormous numbers of people who are suffering from a broad range of disabilities. I have the disability of depression, which I have dealt with over the course of many years and which I have written about. And I know that the things that were most meaningful to me in my recovery were, of course, positive treatment, access to medication and access to psychotherapy, but also love from the people I'm close to and an enormous amount of community support. Without that community support, it's impossible to deal with these challenges and these difficulties. And as a Jewish community, it's crucial that we recognize that these challenges are real challenges, the challenges of people with physical disabilities, the challenges of people with intellectual disabilities, the problems of people with psychological or psychodynamic disabilities. They all of them require an enormous amount of support, and they require a kind of faith. You have to believe in the possibility of changing these things. You have to believe in the possibility that families who have newly received a diagnosis will end up having rich and rewarding lives, despite the fact that they've heard what may strike them as the worst news of their lives. And in order to achieve that objective, they need to interact with other individuals. They need to interact with a community that believes in them. And they need to find in the community that has previously been meaningful to them support for the redefinition of their lives. The objective is for people to end up being grateful for the lives they have with their different or disabled children. It's not something that's easily achieved. What Emily talked about in her presentation last year when she was honored at this gala was her experience having a son with Down syndrome. Often when you receive a diagnosis, like a diagnosis of Down syndrome, you don't know what to do. It's not only that you're sad about it, it's that you're stuck in a kind of ignorance, which is the result of it being a completely new experience. Where do you begin? Where do you go? Whom do you ask? And Matan provides a place to begin. And then after you've begun and met some other people who faced similar challenges and heard their stories and seen what your options are, you have to start making choices. Should we pursue this treatment? Should we pursue that treatment? What are our moral obligations to the children we have? And what are our moral obligations to the people who aren't our own children, but who are the children of people we know, people we love and cherish, or even if people who are part of our community, though their lives don't directly intersect with ours? How do we make the moral decisions about building a life of value for people whose lives so often in the society at large are devalued, are discounted, are made to seem insignificant and unimportant. Our shared Jewishness includes the obligation to take care of those who are less privileged, of those who are less advantaged, of those who don't have all of the things that we have. It's a moral precept that's spelled out in Torah and in Talmud. And it's important for the people who are reading those texts, not merely to study them, though that counts for a great deal, but to act on the moral imperatives that they contain. One of the things that Matan makes possible is for us to realize those objectives, to be true to our religious faith and our religious identity, and in doing so to be true to people who are in a state of anguish or pain or suffering. Also, to observe the ways in which people facing disabilities are not in anguish, are not in pain, are not suffering, to recognize their strength and their dignity, the nobility that is inscribed in their day-to-day lives, the generosity that they may achieve, even from a place that looks to us like a place of terrible deprivation. There is no organization that succeeds in those objectives more fluidly and more fluently than Matan. Matan is a place where people learn comfort with who they are, with who their children are, with what their community is. And it responds to a profound necessity in our society. It would be great if there were adequate programs everywhere. It would be great if the programs were consistent from district to district and from state to state. It would be great if people could see as soon as they faced these challenges where they needed to go and what they needed to do. Unfortunately, that's not the country we live in. It's not the world we live in. People are bewildered. People are lost, and many people are living with a level of anguish about their own or their children's disability, or in a state of reduced functioning because they don't know what services are available and they don't know how to access those services, even if they do know about those services. Matan is a place where people come and manage to get what is owed to them, what they deserve, what they want, ultimately, what they need in order to live the best lives possible as people confronting disability and difficulty and terrible, terrible challenges. It's a place where people rise above those challenges. And that dignity within community, that dignity within Jewish community is rare and precious and rich. And so I'm honored to be honored today as someone who has a disability, who has managed to have a good and rewarding life in spite of that disability, and who knows that my ability to have that good and rewarding life has owed to the work of others around me and to a certain amount of privilege that I have enjoyed. It may be that some people who have more money are able to have more luxuries than other people. Living your best life is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And Matan recognizes that even when other institutions fail. And so I thank Dori and I thank everyone at Matan, and I'm humbled and pleased to receive this honor tonight. I can't thank you enough.
Wow, Andrew, that was amazing and moving and powerful. What an honor to get to learn from you and be inspired by you. Thank you all so much for coming to support these incredible honorees and the amazing and needed work that Matan is doing. Of course, there's still time to give or to up your donation or double it. In Judaism, there is a blessing that celebrates diversity, which is what we are all celebrating here tonight. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam mishaneh habriot. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who makes creatures different. How cool that we are all so different. So thank you everyone for supporting Matan. Thank you all for coming. Congrats to all of the honorees. And here's to another 20 years of Matan. Good night, everyone.
שמעתי שעושים פה מסיבה בלעדיי, אף אחד לא עושה את זה יותר טוב ממני. היי, נשים את הצרות מאחוריי, אני לא הולך עד שכולכם מג'נונים. היי, שמעתי שהתחלתם בלעדיי, אף אחד לא עושה את זה יותר טוב ממני. היי, הראש כבר מסתובב כולם בהיי, לא נעצור עד שכולכם מג'נונים. להיט, תרימו לי להיט, תרימו לב עולה, הקצב כאן עולה. מהפכה של שמחה, כי כולנו משפחה, ונרקוד בטירוף, כי הגיע הזמן לעוף. מעכשיו רק שמחה, משקיעה ועד צריכה. השתגענו מודים, אם שותים כן רוקדים. אוי 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 אלוהים, אלוהים, רק תשמור על הרוקדים, תחבק אוהבים, שתמיד נהיה שמחים. אלוהים, אלוהים, רק תשמור על הרוקדים, תחבק אוהבים, שתמיד נהיה שמחים. חייל, תרים לי את הקהל, הם לא רוקדים בכלל, תרימו את היד. מהפכה של שמחה, כי כולנו משפחה, ונרקוד בטירוף, כי הגיע הזמן לעוף. מעכשיו רק שמחה, משקיעה ועד צריכה. השתגענו מודים, אם שותים כן רוקדים. העם דורש קצב מזרחי, העם דורש קצב מזרחי, העם דורש קצב מזרחי, העם דורש קצב מזרחי. All the party people, let me see you move. All the party people, let me see you